How does a shoe that is constantly called cheap and ugly become one of the hottest fashion trends of the 21st century? That's what we are here to find out as we explore the story of the ugly shoe empire itself, aka Crocs. The shoe has an incredibly interesting history, with some extremely savvy business moves being made along the way. Crocs, at least in the business community, are always considered to be the proof that it's not about how cool or interesting your product is, but instead how you choose to market and sell it. Join us as we explore just how three men did this, and make sure to stick around for the whole video to know the crazy way their story with Crocs ended. Chapter 1. A Happy Accident. Sometimes the best things in life happen out of sheer luck. That is undoubtedly the case here for Crocs, who were created by three Colorado men, Scott Siemens, Lyndon Hansen, and George Bodecker Jr. The three creatives met at the University of Colorado, where they bonded over a love for sailing. This love for sailing would unintentionally lead them to creating the world's favorite ugly shoe. It's interesting that these three people, who just wanted to design a comfy shoe for boating in, would stumble onto a pop culture goldmine. But isn't that the way things just go in the industry sometimes? And as luck would have it, these young creators would stumble onto their biggest breakthrough yet while sailing. In 2002, while the three were sailing across the Caribbean, they came across a really strange design for a clog that had only recently started being sold to the public. The Croc was created by a Canadian company called Foam Creations, and it featured the same durable material that Crocs would eventually adapt. These foam Crocs were designed to withstand water damage and to be easily cleaned, so if you were someone sailing around, it was the perfect shoe. The three friends, however, saw a much more universal use for the materials and believed that if more people knew about these kinds of Crocs, they would want their own pair too. The new material that they found was all the three could talk about, and they actually acquired the rights to Foam Creations' manufacturing process upon arriving home. It wouldn't be until 2004 that Crocs would fully acquire the exclusive rights to the Croslite technology, but luckily for them, no real competitors would pop up during that short stretch. Chapter 2. A great team makes the dream work. One of the biggest reasons for the instant success of Crocs has to do with how perfect each person was for their role. Siemens focused on the design and wanted to refine what he saw in the Foam Creations model a bit to appeal to everyone. Meanwhile, Bodecker would become the CEO for Crocs and would handle a lot of the big picture stuff. Finally, Lyndon Hansen took over the operations for the company, making sure that specifics got done and that the company was running smoothly. The three were both willing investors as well as essential members of the team, and they were all passionate about making Crocs work. The end result of all this work was their first clog, a shoe that they called the Beach. This shoe was incredibly comfortable, and that was the point. Sure, it was an ugly shoe. Everyone knew that. But if you could get past it, then you had a super comfortable walking experience waiting for you. While the three had hoped that Crocs would catch on with a larger audience, they were also prepared to find out that only boaters wanted this kind of design. After the Beach release, though, everyone knew that they had something special on their hands. Boaters bought the clogs, yes, but so did soccer moms, businessmen, athletes, and really anyone that wanted an easy pair of shoes. Crocs were cornering a market that they didn't even know they were entering into, and soon people started to wear Crocs instead of flip-flops or slippers. Even more, people would wear them on their errand runs, or when they didn't really care about how they presented themselves. In the early 2000s, body positivity and self-confidence were starting to become buzzwords, and this directly helped boost the sales for Crocs even more. Here was the shoe that had a lot to offer but was unique and different, and people wanted to be a part of that trend. Everyone wanted to be an individual, and with these loud and super unique clogs, they could make a statement without saying anything at all. Crocs were more than a shoe, as they were also a conversation piece, and people would actually debate why or why not they liked the shoe. It was perfect for the company that didn't have the money to compete with top footwear giants like Nike or Adidas, and they spent so little on advertising in comparison. How would the company do after their initial boom, though? The three creators all worried that this was all just a fad, and that in no time people would move on to the next hot item. Was there any truth to that? We'll talk about that in a second, but firstly, if you could leave a like if you're enjoying this video so far, that would mean the world to us. Also, feel free to subscribe to our channel so you can check out more videos like this one. Chapter 3: From Underdog to the Top of the World. Crocs quickly developed a sort of love-hate relationship, which only made them go more viral. You have to remember, this is the early 2000s, and there isn't really any sort of social media platform that is talking about this item. Instead, Crocs are gaining traction for a few reasons. For one, they are loud, and two, they emphasize comfort. Of course, you're going to notice a pair of lime green clogs squeaking down the hallway past you, and that seemed to strike people in one of two ways. Either they wanted a pair or they despised them. Whether you loved them or hated them didn't matter though, because that genius Croslite material was just so darn comfortable. People were able to justify the purchase for their health and comfort, and could shoo away any criticisms that their shoes were ugly. This was a genius kind of guerrilla marketing that just sort of fell into the laps of the company, but they did everything in their power to capitalize on it. In 2003, Crocs released the Nile, a Croc designed for women. This was the first new shoe that Croc had pushed out, and while the results weren't as crazy as when they dropped their first design, women gladly paid for the clogs. The business model of Crocs around this time was about consistency, and they weren't about to make any moves that could jeopardize their momentum. Crocs was now one of the 10 most successful non-athletic footwear in the world right now, and they were entirely focused on cementing themselves within that marketplace. In 2006, Crocs once again zigged when everyone else zagged. The company took a good look at their target demographic and realized that rewarding good faith was a huge component of their company. Crocs bought up a small business called Jibbitz. This was a small family-owned business that started entirely for fun. Sherry Schmelzer and her husband ran the business entirely on their own, and it started because Sherry wanted to design little trinkets to add to the Crocs. You see, the clogs are filled with holes, 13 of them to be exact. These holes are to make sure the shoe is more breathable, and to prevent bad foot odor or sweat smells from stinking up your Crocs. Sherry, though, saw these holes as a way to further personalize her daughter's shoes, and it was honestly a great idea. Rather than try and strong-arm her out of the business or bully her with money and lawyers, the Crocs team decided to buy the company and let them continue operations. It was a win-win for everyone, and Crocs benefited greatly from the positive PR of rewarding a person that simply loves your product. That's not to say, however, that Jibbitz was just some charity case company either though. The branding opportunities of putting a little pin or emblem on your shoes was huge, and soon massive corporations once again flocked to work with Crocs. Sports team logos, TV shows, you name it, and people wanted to add them to their Crocs. The addition once again made Crocs feel new, and 17 years later, Jibbitz is still a very important part of the Croc model. Chapter 4: Beating to Your Own Drum. If there were ever a takeaway for young entrepreneurs here, it would probably be to have confidence in yourself, even if you feel like you are on an island in terms of support. The team behind Crocs really were just a few people that were doing what they loved. They found a shoe that they knew fit into their little lifestyle niche of boating and leapt on it. As much as we all are sure that they probably hoped to reach a larger audience, that dream probably didn't seem all that likely for a while. It's really hard to predict the market, no matter what industry you are entering into. The true success of Crocs isn't that they nailed it every time and were constantly coming up with ideas, but instead that they were always refining the one idea that they had. The mission statement for Crocs was to create a comfortable boating shoe using a brand new sort of material. The end result was a global phenomenon that only seems to be getting stronger. Medical personnel will often wear Crocs when they are working, which makes a lot of sense. Crocs are easy to clean, durable, and most of all, they are comfortable even if you are on your feet all day. That's why Crocs was one of the few companies to turn a consistent profit during the pandemic. Opening yourself up to money-making opportunities is pivotal in running a long-term operation, and that is something that the Crocs team has always done. Crocs are designed to be as environmentally conscious as possible, which is not only good for the earth, but also means they are pulling in an entirely new demographic as well. Health professionals, environmentalists, and people who want to express themselves as individuals are all very strong markets, and having that support has helped Crocs stay away from any large dips in interest and profit. The real reason why most scholars believe that Crocs succeeded is because they were able to push themselves so far into pop culture. They never limited themselves by focusing on a ton of different designs or shoes, but instead mostly were interested in building a brand based on being the good guys. This is a corporation that donates a pair of Crocs to those in need once every minute, and that level of charity is both ethically good as well as financially. For over 20 years, Croc has remained a force in the footwear industry, and their price point, marketing, and flexibility with these rapidly changing times has helped them in a huge way. And that just about wraps up the story of Crocs. What do you think is the reason for their massive success? Let us know down in the comments section so we can read what you think. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we also hope you might have learned something new too. If you did, leaving a like on this video would mean a lot to us, as well as subscribing to the channel. We upload videos like this all the time, and can't wait to see you for the next one.